Imagine a dog trapped in a box. The floor is electrified. Every few seconds, shock. The dog runs to the left, shock. It runs to the right, shock. It tries to climb the walls, howling, desperate to escape the pain, but nothing works. Eventually, the dog does something heartbreaking. It stops running. It lies down, it whimpers, and it just takes it. But here is the part of the experiment that changed psychology forever. The researchers then opened the door. They showed the dog the exit. They even put treats on the other side. The dog didn't move. It stayed on the electrified floor, being shocked, even though freedom was one step away. Why? Because it had learned that its actions didn't matter. It had learned to be helpless. Now, look at your own life. That stuck feeling you have? That toxic relationship you can't leave? That job you hate but won't quit? You might think it's loyalty. You might think it's bad luck. But what if I told you that, just like that dog, you've been trained to stay there? What if the walls around you aren't real? In this video, we are going to break down the invisible mechanics of control. We'll explore the dark psychology of how your brain is hacked by casinos, toxic partners, and even authority figures. We're going to uncover the contrarian truths about manipulation that most people are too afraid to admit. And by the end, I'm going to show you how to walk out of the box. Let's dive in. To understand how control works, we have to go back to year 1961 at Yale University. A man named Stanley Milgram wanted to answer a terrifying question. Could a normal person be convinced to kill a stranger just because a guy in a lab coat told them to? You probably know the basics. Participants were told to deliver electric shocks to a stranger every time they got a question wrong. 15 volts, then 30, then 45. As the voltage went up, the stranger, who was an actor, started screaming. They begged for their life. They shouted about a heart condition. And eventually, they went silent. Most people think only a psychopath would keep pressing that button. But here's the scary truth. 65% of people went all the way to the lethal voltage. Why? This is where most people get it wrong. They think these people were evil. They weren't. They were just in what Milgram called the Agentic State. The Agentic State is a psychological switch in your brain. When you flip it, you stop seeing yourself as responsible for your actions. You see yourself as an agent carrying out someone else's wishes. You say to yourself, I'm just doing my job, or I didn't have a choice. You do this every day. When you stay late at work because the boss expects it, even though you're missing your kid's birthday, that is the Agentic State. You have surrendered your autonomy to a hierarchy. You are trading your guilt for obedience. Because it feels safer to follow orders than to take responsibility for saying no. But here is the contrarian truth that nobody tells you. Obedience is not a virtue, it's a trauma response. We are trained from school, sit down, shut up, raise your hand, and to seek validation from authority. And manipulators know this. They don't force you, they just wear a lab coat. They use confident body language, titles, or assertive tones to trigger that agentic state in you. And once you're in it, you'll shock the stranger. You'll hurt yourself. You'll do anything to avoid the anxiety of disobedience. But if you think that's scary, wait until you see how they control your heart. Let's talk about casinos. You know the house always wins. You know the math is rigged. So why do people sit there for 12 hours straight, losing their life savings? It's because of a concept called intermittent reinforcement. Skinner found that if you give a rat a pellet every time it pushes a lever, it pushes it only when it's hungry. But if you give the pellet randomly, maybe the third time, maybe the 10th, maybe the 100th, the rat goes crazy. It pushes the lever until it collapses from exhaustion. Why? Because uncertainty spikes dopamine more than the reward itself. This is exactly how toxic relationships work. If a partner was mean to you 100% of the time, you'd leave. If they were nice 100% of the time, you might actually get bored. But a manipulator? They are a slot machine. One day they love bomb you. Flowers, compliments, and everything else. The next day, they're cold. They don't text back. They roll their eyes at you. Your brain starts panic scanning. What did I do? How do I get the nice version of them back? You start pushing the lever. You text more. You apologize for things you didn't do. You try harder. This is the breadcrumbing technique. They give you just enough emotional breadcrumbs to keep you from starving, but never enough to make you full. And here is the brutal psychological reality. You are not in love. You are addicted. Your brain is chasing the dopamine hit of that random moment of validation. That high you feel when they finally text back, that's not relief. That's the same chemical hit a gambler gets when the lemons line up. You are the rat in the cage, and they're holding the pellets. But breaking this addiction is hard because of another tool they use, something that makes you question your own sanity. You've heard of gaslighting. It's become a buzzword, but real gaslighting is much more dangerous than just lying. It is the systematic dismantling of your reality testing. A master manipulator doesn't just lie. They use the Ben Franklin effect in reverse. Wait, what? Benjamin Franklin once famously said, "He that has once done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another." Psychology tells us that if you do a favor for someone, your brain rationalizes it by deciding you must like them. It's called cognitive dissonance. You hate conflict in your own mind. Now flip it. When a manipulator makes you compromise your boundaries, let's say, canceling plans with your friends to see them, your brain has to justify it. Your brain says, "I wouldn't cancel on my friends for a jerk. So, this person must be really special." The more you sacrifice for them, the more special they become in your mind. You are convincing yourself they are worth it, just to avoid admitting you've been played. This is the sunk cost fallacy of relationships. You've invested so much pain, so much time, so many tears. Walking away feels like admitting it was all for nothing. So you stay, you double down. And the manipulator knows this. They count on your need to be right about them. They don't need to chain you up. Your own ego is the chain. So, how do we get out of the box? How do we stop pressing the lever? It starts with a concept from Stoic philosophy called the locus of control. Manipulators thrive when you have an external locus of control. When you believe your happiness depends on their mood, their validation, their permission, the only way to break the spell is to radically shift that locus internal. This means accepting a painful truth. You cannot change them. You have to stop waiting for the nice version of them to come back. That version was just the bait. You have to be willing to be the villain in their story. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop apologizing for existing, when you stop playing the slot machine, they will lose their minds. They will call you cold. They will call you selfish. Let them. Use the gray rock method. Become as boring as a rock. Give them no emotional reaction. No anger, no tears, no joy. Just, okay. I see. That's interesting. When you starve them of the reaction, you cut the invisible string. You step out of the agentic state and back into your own life. Remember the dog in the box? The door was open the whole time. The only thing keeping it there was the belief that it couldn't leave. You are not that dog. You have a choice. The shock might have hurt. The manipulation might have been deep. But the moment you realize the control was an illusion is the moment you are free. If this video hit home for you, or if you recognized any of these patterns, let me know in the comments. Which one was the biggest light bulb moment? Was it the slot machine or the agentic state? I read every single comment. See you in the next one.